Today I'm here, not in New York City, but rather my room at my parents' house in the Chicago suburbs. I'm here to visit my parents, family's important to me. I try to come here every 3 to 4 months. So this will be a Q&A video. I plan to address everything from how do I actually afford to eat at these fancy, super expensive fine dining restaurants to how much YouTube pays me, my favorite steakhouses, running, travel, my apartment, and whatnot. I also made a post on my channel the other day asking for questions specifically for this video, and I'm going to try to answer as many of those questions as possible, but I know I won't get to everything, but I'll try my best. So first things first, why am I making this Q&A video? Now there are a few reasons for it, but the chief reason among them is that with sponsorship videos, sometimes I'm required to post that sponsor video by a certain date. The current sponsor video I'm working on will probably have to be posted on like a Thursday or a Friday, which is not my typical posting date of Monday. I never want to miss posting on a Monday, so that's why I'm making this video. It's also a bit easier to make than my typical restaurant reviews because I'm not doing voiceovers, which takes so long to do. And I get a lot of questions anyways. This is a great forum to actually answer them. So this is actually a pretty decent segue to the first question, since this video may or may not appear on a Monday, or it may appear later in the week, or I just posted a video later in the week, not on a Monday. So the question is, do I ever plan to post regularly more than once a week? And that is absolutely not. The fact is, these videos take me a long time to make, and I would frankly lose my mind if I had to make more than one a week. Now there will be rare occasions where that will happen, but for the majority of the time, it's going to be one video a week, quality over quantity. Although I do plan to do more YouTube shorts this year in addition to my long form videos, so watch out for that. So the next question, and this is a good one, is what is video etiquette when going into a restaurant? So I'm going to answer this one, and hopefully my answer actually covers some other questions that have been asked. So let's get to it. First off, how do I choose the restaurants that I actually go to and feature in my videos? Now, I go to restaurants that interest me. These are places that I want to go to. I am frankly not a fan of those videos featuring one-star restaurant reviews, the worst particular restaurant in a city. To me, it's kicking someone while they're down, trying to get views at someone else's expense. I absolutely want to get views on my videos, but I want to do it on my terms, where I feature good restaurants, restaurants that are interesting, restaurants that are doing something to advance the culinary world, places where one can have a great time at. Plus, these reviews are typically the highlight of my week, so I don't want to eat at some place that sucks. Now, having said that, not every review that I've posted on my channel has been a glowing positive experience. There are places I know in advance I may not like the Russian Tea Room. However, the Russian Tea Room has both historical and culinary relevance. For me, those reasons kind of make the restaurant fair game. Basically, I just want to go to places with good food that are interesting. I just don't want to be making fun of a small mom and pop business that has absolutely no culinary or historical or anything unique about it other than its bad reviews so I can just gain views. So that was a very long-winded explanation that really didn't answer the question at all, but now that I have a restaurant selected, how do I actually visit the restaurant? What kind of etiquette I use when going about that task? Well, it's very simple. I do nothing different than the average person. I either simply make a reservation or show up as a walk-in. I never make any specific requests that would make my video easier to create. Basically, it's not the restaurant's job to accommodate me making a video. And that also goes to the diners surrounding me. Basically, I don't want to become a distraction for those diners. This is also one of the reasons why I mainly do voiceovers for my videos. The thing is, I just don't want to disturb anyone's dinner, because the fact is, a lot of the places I go to would be termed as special occasion type of restaurants. No one wants to go to a restaurant when they're celebrating something special and get seated next to the guy holding up a camera giving over-the-top exaggerated commentary on the texture of a particular dish. Plus, with New York City restaurants in particular, a lot of the establishments are fairly small and subsequently have very close together tables, so it's even more important to be respectful of one's fellow diners. Plus, another reason why I do voiceovers is very simple. I want to enjoy my food. I don't want to be talking when I could be eating. I spend a lot of money at some of these restaurants, and frankly, I don't want to be talking over my food while it's getting cold. Like I said, first and foremost, I go to places that I would enjoy, and I want to enjoy myself. Plus, I feel like I can give more eloquent and thought-out commentary when I'm doing it in a voiceover later, rather than trying to eat and speak while I'm having pasta fall down my shirt. It would just be a sloppy mess. Although there are restaurants where I will speak to the camera and eat, like say Katz's for example. I mean, if you're a customer and you wanted a quiet, peaceful meal, you came to the wrong restaurant. Now, I never announced to the restaurant that I'm gonna film a video, but at the same time, I've never been told not to film. I think it's partly because I always strive to be courteous to those around me, and also just these days, everyone has their phones out anyways, taking pictures of their food. Although, I was told at the New York location of the Golden Steer that shining a light on my food, which I did with the steak and side, is normally not allowed. But since there wasn't anyone else at the bar really, that it was okay for the moment. Yeah, I wouldn't have done that if anyone was actually sitting next to me, and that's why I did not do it later when I had my dessert. Alright, so once again, I felt like that was a very lengthy answer, so now I'm gonna choose a few questions that I think I can answer fairly quickly. Alright, next question. Who has the best baked Alaska in NYC right now? I haven't had a lot, but my favorite one was from the grill. That one was just perfect. The texture and the flavors with that one were spectacular. Do you have a culinary background? No, but I love to eat. But that wasn't always the case. I used to be a picky eater when I was a kid. Now I am totally down to pretty much try anything. Do you have any running goals for this year? Yes, I always want to run a marathon. I will be running one in the fall. Which one? I'm not sure yet. Every year I've applied to run in the New York Marathon, and every year I've gotten rejected. It's a very popular race, and it's very hard to get in. And I will also be applying this year for the London Marathon. That's another hard race to get into. I've gotten rejected every single time in the past as well, so fingers crossed, I hope I get in that one because I really do want to go to London soon. And speaking of London, I know someone asked in the comments when I'm going to visit London again, so hopefully soon, if it's not for the marathon, maybe just to eat, because I already do have certain restaurants picked out that I want to dine at, so hopefully I'll be in the UK again soon. And staying on the topic of travel for the moment, one question asked, will you ever come to Philadelphia or Atlantic City to review restaurants? Yes, especially Philadelphia. I mean, it's so close to New York City that why haven't I gone there? Now, I have been to Philadelphia in the past. It's a phenomenal city. I've just never made any videos there. The last time I was in Philly was, I think, 2017. I ran the marathon there, which is a pretty good marathon, and I did have some great food indeed. One more travel question here. What are 3 countries/places you would like to visit? Well, one of my goals is to literally visit every single country, so if I haven't been there, I want to go there. I always feel like every country/place has something special and unique to offer. Granted, some places I think are more suitable to me and offer more than others, but if I haven't been there, I want to go there. Pretty much any chance that I can travel, I'm gonna take. And I'm very lucky that I do YouTube and photography. This allows me the freedom to actually travel. Now, this is also on the same topic as another person's question. Do you work for yourself or for a company? I work for myself. This is why I have the freedom to travel and why I can actually visit some of these restaurants during the middle of the day and have a very lengthy and indulgent meal. This is also why at the beginning of my videos, when I typically say it's a beautiful day here in New York City, it's because I can choose when I visit these restaurants. Believe it or not, the weather in New York City does get pretty crappy sometimes. It's not always a beautiful day in New York City. Next question, what is your favorite restaurant you have been to in 2026 so far? That is an easy one, The Modern, where I went to for my birthday, but I also have to give an honorable mention to Coco Dining in Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam, which I will have a video about in the future. That one was amazing as well. Best steakhouse in NYC. My 2 favorite steakhouses are probably Keen's and Delmonico's, but if I only had to recommend one, I would probably recommend Keen's because it's a place that really is like no other. I mean, it's practically a museum and their steaks are phenomenal. And plus, compared to some of the other places, it's a bit more reasonably priced, I feel like. This is a fun question. Have you ever met again or even had wishes to have dinner with your media crush, Paris Hilton? Well, I did get to see her last December, and I consider myself very lucky because most people never get to meet their celebrity crush. I've had the privilege to meet mine twice. Have you ever ate at the French Laundry? No, but that is a bucket list restaurant of mine. What's the worst or saddest meal you've ever had? I don't know if I can point out a single meal, but I know the worst meal I had in 2025, and that was at the Varsity. That place was so terrible. Can you talk about your watches? Yes, I can. This watch I'm wearing right now is a Seiko 5. It was the first mechanical watch I ever got. Back in the day, you can get this for about 60 bucks, maybe a little less, and once I got it, I was addicted to watches. Now, in my last Q&A video that I filmed last year, I said that I would get a watch to mark and commemorate getting 100,000 subscribers. I now have 100,000 subscribers, and I know which watch I'm going to get. It's a pretty good one, so stay tuned for it. And speaking of 100,000 subscribers, I know some people wanted to see the actual plaque that I was awarded for gaining 100,000 subscribers. This is it, and I am so proud of it. This is actually pretty much my first time seeing it because I was awarded it back when I was traveling in Vietnam, and subsequently I wasn't at my apartment to actually receive this award, so I thought it'd be better to ship it to my parents' house since I know they would be there. And speaking of my apartment, I know I got a few questions here about my apartment because last year there was a bit of a situation where it seemed like I would have to move out of my current place, which I shared with roommates, and it was very stressful. I did a decent apartment search. I applied to about 5 or 6 places and I got rejected from every single one of them. I pretty much check all the boxes of what a landlord is looking for in a tenant, except for the fact that I do not have a strong yearly income. In NYC, landlords typically require their tenants to make 40 times annually of what their monthly rent is. So for example, if I had a $2,000 a month apartment, I need to be making at least $80,000 a year, which is a lot, and finding a $2,000 apartment in NYC is also pretty tough. Even though I have a very high credit score, even though I've never missed a credit card payment or a rent payment, and I can get a guarantor, no landlord is going to choose me over somebody who actually makes a decent amount of money a year and can prove it with a tax return. That's the other thing. There's a lot of competition for these affordable apartments. There may be 30 applications for a single apartment, and mine is not going to the top. Fortunately, the situation at my current place, the one I have with roommates, did resolve itself, but I ended up feeling humiliated after that apartment search. However, I did choose this path that I'm on, so in reality, there is nothing to complain about. And I'm so grateful for everything that I do have, and being able to eat at restaurants that I want to eat at every week is the coolest job in the world. So how much do I make? How much does YouTube pay me? How am I able to eat in these very fancy and expensive restaurants? Let's get into it. So with YouTube, there's pretty much 3 ways I make money from it. The first way is pretty much the least exciting, and it's basically the equivalent of finding loose change on the ground, and that is affiliate links. So basically, when I mention a book or a product of some sort, I'll include an Amazon link to that particular item in the description of the video. That way, if someone wants to purchase that item, they just click on the link, and I get a small percentage of that sale. Last year, I made about $57 something for being an Amazon affiliate. Now, that doesn't really bother me. I don't really review products, I review restaurants, so any money really is something. Plus, all I really do is copy and paste a link to a particular product, so it doesn't really require a lot of effort on my part, and if it helps someone out, then that's good in my book. Now, the 2 big money earners from YouTube are sponsorships and ad revenue. So with ad revenue, views are what matters, and I'm very fortunate that I've gotten to this place with YouTube that when I go to a restaurant, I can count on a decent amount of people watching my video, which will in turn pay for that video and, in a sense, make me a profit. So for example, let's say my 4 Charles prime rib video. I went to the restaurant twice. In total, I probably spent about $400 there. and I made a lot more than $400 with the ad revenue. So yeah, spending a good amount of money on food doesn't bother me that much if I know I'm gonna make a decent return in the end. Plus, even if I don't make a huge profit off a video, I don't care that much because food, eating, it's my favorite thing. This is what I want to spend my money on anyways. Now, it's not just views that dictate how much money a video makes. It's also how long the video is, because longer videos make more money. That way you can have more commercials within the video and thus make more money. For me, however, I'm also very focused on making the best video I possibly can within a week. So oftentimes that means being concise and very specific with what I say. And in reality, there's only so much you can actually speak to about a single steak or a restaurant. But I've got to admit, when I'm getting towards the end of an edit of a video, I'm thinking to myself, oh, if this video was only a minute longer, I could get another commercial in and thus make more money. But at the end of the day, I've got to remember my standards and be respectful of people's time. Now, the other major way to earn money from YouTube is through sponsorships, and sponsorships are far more lucrative than ad revenue. Now, I've worked with some fine brands in the past, but in actuality, I haven't done as many sponsored videos as I frankly could have. One of the reasons why is simply time. I travel a lot. Travel is very important to me, and frankly, I don't want to coordinate having to do a sponsored video when I'm about to travel or I'm traveling, and frankly, it's just easier to do a straight video, review, whatever, and that's that. The other thing is I'm trying to make the best video I possibly can, which means choosing products and services to represent that I actually believe in, things that fit with my brand, because at the end of the day, making a good video is a lot more important to me than getting a paycheck. Now, I will be doing more sponsored videos in the future, but at the end of the day, these will always be products and services that I believe in. To sum it up, YouTube is not the only thing I do and make money from. I do make money from my photography, but YouTube is what I do devote most of my time to these days, and it's the thing that I love the most. Now, I'm very fortunate that last year, with all my YouTube earnings combined, I pretty much made a bit more than the average American does. However, I live in New York City, which means average there is a lot higher. But like I said, I chose this path, and it's my responsibility to make it happen. And I really appreciate all the support I've gotten. I know some people have asked about starting a Patreon. I'm not going to do that because I don't think it's right for people to donate money so I can go to restaurants and have fun. But I do really appreciate it. But like I said, it's my job to make it happen, and that's what I'm going to do. So that will do it for me for this Q&A session. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get to every question, but I may do one of these again in the future. Right now, however, I am dying. My voice is almost gone. I've gone through 4 camera batteries. I've been talking for almost 5 hours now. I'm exhausted. With that being said, I'm going to get a well-deserved glass of wine. I'm going to relax with my book and just call it a day. So thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it.